Without further ado, Giuseppe, what is a personal brand?
Well, a personal brand is fundamentally, if you want to streamline the concept, is a platform. A personal brand is the number of association that people do with who you are, what you mean, what you do, and everything that you can do, but with one particular thing, which is what you can do for them. So a personal brand is not, my personal brand is not about me. My personal brand is about every person to whom I can add some value.
And I think that's an important concept to distinguish, right? Because everyone thinks it's a lot only about themselves and about their perceptions, but I think it's more about how the audience sees you and how the audience perceives you.
Yes, we can develop a little bit on that. Many people, as you say, Yuvraj, think that when you have to promote your own personal brand, you have to sort of display yourself out there. You have to gain a lot of visibility. You have to gain a lot of the admiration of people and so on. But really, the reason why people relate to you as a personal brand is because you mean a solution to some of their needs. Okay, and these needs only do not only fall in the sphere of you resolve a problem for me. Like, okay, for instance, I know you are in the marketing world. Say you are a consultant. People come to you because they have to launch a new product. Okay, that's technical. That's fine, but there is much more to it. Okay, so they come to you because probably they understand that they can trust you. So we are already entering into a new sphere here, which is an emotional level of connection, of relationship, and also like in my case, and I'm sure in your case as well, I also add another layer to it because I see marketing from a perspective of ethical marketing, conscientious marketing. So people that are inclined to this kind of perspectives, they may come to me or come to you because they connect on the level of the values. So you see, we've defined like already three levels of relationship that a personal brand can develop with their stakeholders, their clients, and so on. Which is first, obviously, you have to resolve problems because if you do not resolve a problem, you're not in the market. Okay, so that's the basic. But you can do that very successfully. But you have to know that if you do that, you are competing. Fundamentally on two things. One is the availability. In corporate branding, this would be distribution. And the other one is you would be competing either on you must be the best at what you do, or you must have low prices. Okay, so this is a very windy place to be. It's very competition is very high there because fortunately we are not the only smart people in the world. So there is
Yeah.
competition out there. So if you go beyond this, you have two more layers to occupy. One is the emotional bond layer that I was mentioning before. The trust is one of these elements, and so on. And the other one is if you are able to represent some values, a worldview, then you can connect on that level.
And what would you say a personal brand contains? So you said that it is a system, and there can be a framework with it. So would you in a very simple level describe what it really contains?
Yeah. Well, when I have um, to explain what is a brand, I always refer to a model by an American brand theorist, David Aker, which identifies for corporate brands four elements. He talks about brand identity, and I think this applies to personal brands as well. Uh, the first element of your brand is you need to have a product. Okay, so your product is uh, what you do for people. Okay, so if you are a consultant, what is the type of services you offer? If you work in a company, for instance, you are a talent in a company, your product is what is the expertise, what is the knowledge that you bring to the table. Okay, so that's the first element. The second element of a brand is uh, you are in yourself, you are you can be assimilated to an organization, which means you not only bring the value that you as an individual can bring to the table, but you also bring value as a person who is related to other people. So, for instance, as a consultant, my case, for instance, as a consultant, I'm often asked after we do the strategy, I'm often asked, how can I create content or how can I create a logo or whatever. These are things that I don't do, but I can send people to experts. And obviously, this is an extension of my value offering. Okay, so this is a second element. You need to think of yourself as a system, and you are the hub around which the system can develop. There is a third element, which is what Aker calls brand as a person. And this is very, very important because this is actually, I think it's the fundamental axis of a personal brand, which is you as a person, you represent something that people must be able to get in connection with and also develop some level of trust. Okay, so you, as a person in your personal brand, what you need to develop is the ability to inspire other people that if they work with you, this will be a good experience. It will be a fruitful relationship, and so on. So you need to inspire feelings like trust, like authority, and so on and so on. Okay, so the person side of your brand is fundamental because it defines how strongly you are in the market. And then there is another fascinating element of a brand, which is uh, what uh, uh, what Aker calls brand as a symbol. And this is really a fascinating part. I've studied this very deeply, and if you want, maybe later we can go a little bit further into this point. But the brand as a symbol means that you have like two levels of symbolic definition of your brand. One is you yourself, you become a symbol as a personal brand. For instance, you can become, I've identified four elements to this side, but you can become, for instance, a transformational figure. You can become a figure that resolves problems. Or you can become, for instance, an inspiring figure, and so on. You have different possibilities, and this is you as a symbol. You mean something to people. But then there is another dimension, which is you can use symbolic language, and this is the ability to use metaphors, to be able to categorize, to be able to be seen as the indicate be seen in situations that indicate who you are, what you bring to the table, and so on. So this is a brand as a symbol. So as we said, you have four dimensions to a brand. One is brand as a product. The other one is brand as an organization. The other one is brand as a person, and finally you have brand as a symbol. If you are able to connect all of these four elements to a brand, you have a very strong personal brand identity.
Okay, very interesting. I like of course I like all the phases that you mentioned, but about the second last one, which was the ability to inspire trust and to generate trust. How would you go about that? Because I read something about cognitive and
Mm.
affective trust, which you described in your articles,
Yeah.
and it was also about how you make people feel when they work with you. So could you elaborate on that a little
Yeah.
bit?
Yeah, yeah. As you say, Yuvraj, the way I look at trust is on those two levels. You need to develop trust on a cognitive level and on an affective level. What does this mean? On a cognitive level, you develop trust when you offer reasons to believe that people can trust you. Okay, so this is, for instance, you say you are a consultant. What is your track record? What is your profile like? For instance, in my case, my personal track record is of having worked with some of the most interesting brands globally. Having worked when I was still in the corporate world for brands like Colgate, Palmolive, and Nissan. I did my career in these two companies, and a series of other that let's call them success indicators that give people an understanding that working with me, can be fruitful. So that's my attempt at developing trust on a cognitive level. But this is not enough. There is also one other thing, which is our brain works in a heuristic way. So we have to and by the way, there is another point, which is uh, emotions in ourselves. There are some very very nice books on this, but emotions that work in our brain are the biology of emotions is faster than the biology of cognitive thinking. So if we are able to influence on an emotional base other people, this will influence the way they think about us. So the affective level of trust is fundamental, because if you do not tackle that one, you are not controlling what makes trust start. Okay, so the affective side is okay. How can I deliver stories that induce you to think that I am trustworthy? Okay, so this is, for instance, the way we connect, the way we talk, the way I talk to you, the way I make connection to other people, and so on. So these are a number of signals that you will subconsciously receive and re-elaborate in your mind. And this is really the powerful side of connecting on and creating trust. The fundamental tool to work on this level, the affective level, as in every part of the, let's say, the emotional side of branding, the fundamental tool is storytelling, story doing, and being a story yourself.
Interesting. Um, so when you talk about storytelling, is that like you define your narrative first, when you work on yourself? Because I read about you really talking about focusing on the internal piece. So the look within, I believe, is what you call. So when you look within and you understand your past and the story that you want to define out of that, how would you go about that process? Is there like a
Yeah.
particular framework that you would recommend anyone to do, or even myself? Because I also try to extract how much ever I can from the past, but I don't know like how many stories I can get, because there's a lot, and how do I select the right ones?
Yeah, yeah. That's a very good question, Yuvraj. Um, the idea of creating a story of yourself. First of all, I'd like to clarify that when we talk about storytelling and personal branding, this is like a negative cocktail, no? Because people have a little bit of misconception about the idea of personal branding. They think maybe I have to wear a mask. Well, all the contrary, you must be yourself, as Oscar Wilde, I think, once said, "Be yourself. Everybody else is taken already." So that's the best way to create a very strong personal brand. You must be yourself because authentic personal brand is sustainable over time. And this means that people will want to connect with you and you will be happy within your personal brand. Okay, so that's one thing. Then when we talking about personal brand, then when we talk about storytelling, that's another area of marketing which suffers from misconception because people think that storytelling is about making up stories. Well, storytelling is all another art. Uh, it's the art of um, transforming um, things that are authentically part of your brand, authentically part of the value that you can deliver, transform those things, which are normally boring, transforming them into a story, into something which has the ability to connect emotionally with your people. To make an example, obviously, as a consultant, you and I can go to the market and we can help a company develop a fantastic value proposition or develop a fantastic product launch. Okay, so we go with the solution to a problem, which is something that can be explained in ways that nonetheless are boring because we will explain what you have to do, the process that you have to develop, and so on and so on. You can transform this into an emotion, and the emotion is what is the dream of your client that is coming to you. If this client needs a value proposition, his dream is related to probably his own success or her own success. Or the success of the company. Maybe the company is in a key moment. So you can connect with their tension, their being nervous about the future of the company, and you can sustain that tension. You can help them be optimistic about that tension and so on. So as you see, you are still being true to yourself. You are still being authentic, but you are connecting on a level which is emotional. And obviously, beyond the emotionality of this, you have to deliver the rational part. You have to deliver the truth. Okay, so that's for me. That's what I relate to the idea of storytelling in personal branding and the emotionality of personal branding. So that's one thing. And maybe if you want, we can go on with other ideas.
Hmm. No, I like that a lot. And that is where you would recommend anyone to start if they wanted to build that personal brand, is to look within and find the stories that are most compelling and that they can connect other people to emotionally. That's where you would recommend anyone to start. Is there anything else that you would also recommend them to do if they wanted to create a personal brand?
Yes, um, the necessity to define the story is something that takes a little bit of expertise. We have to go a little bit into technicalities here, but not too much. So, what you want to do is you want to understand that there is. A public out there which is living a life of their own, and the reason why they want to connect with you is not because they are, let me put it this way bluntly, not because they are interested in you, but because they are interested in the fact that you can help them. So if you want to put this in terms of who's the hero here, the hero is not us. The hero is not Yuvraj or Giuseppe who are trying to connect with the public. The hero is actually the individual in the public with their dreams, their fears, their tensions, their aspirations, maybe a vision of success that they have, and so on. So we have to connect with that element. So the stories that we have to find in our personal brand are stories that are able to connect with these people. Okay, I'll give you an example. In my case, I have some fundamental stories in my personal brand. One of the stories is a story of obviously I have to have that, a story of knowledgeability. Okay, how do I tell that story? Um, when I introduce myself in a class at Esade or in let's say in any public speaking or whatever kind of situation where I have to introduce myself, I always use one slide which shows what are the fundamental things that I do. And I explain that I was at Nissan. I explained that I was the marketing director of a line of product when we had to create the Qashqai. Qashqai is a car in for Nissan that really changed the fate of Nissan in Europe. I was at Nissan Europe at the time, and we created a new category, and we owned the category for over a decade. Okay, so being the guy who has been leading the marketing side of that operation gives me a story of knowledge. Okay. And then obviously the fact that I teach at Esade also gives me a sort of an endorsement in terms of knowledge and so on. So I give some signals, and we are falling here into the symbolic side
Mhm.
of a personal brand. So I give a story of knowledge. So that's fundamental because this helps the what we were calling before the cognitive side of trust, the cognitive side of people understanding, yes, maybe Giuseppe can help me with this. But then there is also another part of the story, which is I have to connect this to some message which is conceptual for my client. Okay, so if I tell the story of knowledgeability, I also tell another story, which is a story of integrity. Okay, so as you can see, I have different stories that converge together, and all together they make a bigger story. Okay, so the story of integrity is, for instance, the fact that I am part of a think tank, an international think tank, which is about conscientious business. Okay, now what I'm trying to explain here, which is a little bit, that's why I was saying it's maybe a little bit complex. You have to have a story which is, we have seen, it is authentic, so it is no masquerade, it is not anything which is not true. You have to convince people with factual elements, so the endorsement of Nissan, the endorsement of Esad, and so on. And then you have to have other stories that connect you with your public in a way that is more than just, I can do this for you. Okay. And for instance, my idea of marketing, which is an ethical idea of marketing, can connect with some kind of clients. Which brings us to another point, Yuvraj, if you allow me
Of
to
course,
extend my thinking here.
please.
It brings us to one fundamental element of personal branding and branding in general, which is we have to choose. Uh, we have to, I'll put it more provocatively, we have to renounce to have success, okay, which is the idea of segmentation. We have to be able to understand what part of the whole market can respond to who we are, to what we can bring to the table. Because the way I put this is if you want everyone to like you, nobody will like you. Okay, so you have to choose who you are. You have to understand who you are, because only a part of the market is ready to understand, to connect with, and to, let's say, between how do you say quotes, can buy what you offer. Okay, so segmentation in branding is fundamental. This is something that helps you on one side be authentic, because you don't have to sort of dilute who you are and what you are offering. And on the other side, helps you understand really who is connecting with you. And so adapt, attune more profoundly with them and serve them better. Because this is what branding is about. It's about serving knowledgeably. That's the idea.
Yeah, I like the idea of segmentation. How would you narrow down on a segment if someone is, let's say me, for example, I'm creating my personal brand right now, and I have like a list of people that I want to target, like a type of people that I want to target. So how would I segment? How do I narrow down on that?
Yeah. Um, Segmentation is an art which is really studied very, very thoroughly in marketing. So the classic is you can segment by demographics. Obviously, you define, for instance, you are creating your personal brand. Probably you are in the area of marketing. Uh, are you are you addressing companies? Are you addressing individuals? What is that? So you already have one element of that, which is demographic. Who is my client? Okay, but then you can go much further than that, obviously. So the most interesting side of segmentation is that you can segment by what experts call psychographics. What is this? What are the emotions? What I was mentioning before? What are the emotions? What are the aspirations? What are the psychological characteristics of who you want to address? Okay, so let's say in my case, for instance, what I do in personal branding is I help normally people who are like in senior positions, executives, or people that are like consultants, and obviously they are very serious about their business. They want to really go strong with their business. This obviously gives me immediately a sort of a perimeter where I can work, and it's a perimeter in terms of psychographics, which is I normally attract people who are very serious about what they're doing, very committed. They are in a special moment in their life when they have to make some hard choices. So they want to be right making those choices. So you can think what type of mindset they have. And also, it defines them in terms of age bracket, if you want, because obviously you can think of people who are, call them 45, 55, maybe this time of their life. Um, and it gives me a lot of information about what is the type of person that I can address. What is the benefit of having such a clear idea of who is on the other side? I can serve them much better. I can know them much more deeply because I'm focusing on that segment of the population and I'm trying to understand very, very deeply what they feel, in which moment of their life they are, and so on and so on. So if I said simply, I look at executives and I look at people who are consultants and they are in their mid 40s or mid 50s to mid 50s. Well, that would be already something. But if I add to this the idea that these people are very committed to having success in a special moment of their life, which is a moment of change,
Mhm.
well, then I know a lot about them, and I can go deeper. But this is already enough information for me to have an attitude. This, for instance, Yuvraj, will also have an impact on the stories that I tell because
Mhm.
obviously the stories that I can tell to such a kind of person are different from the stories I can tell to a person who is starting his or her career. Obviously, so you can see also the type of examples I use in my, for instance, in my newsletter. I use a lot of examples. The type of examples I use, the type of exemplifications I make, and so on. They are in some way always informed by the fact that on the other side, I imagine a person who is in that situation, who is in that segment.
And also, all the content that you create will be with that person in mind, with the ideal customer type in mind. So that aligns all of
Yes.
all of the execution that takes place. Yeah, it totally makes sense. So let's say someone creates a personal brand and they want to take it from the insight stage to the action stage. You know, they actually want to promote themselves. What activities or actions would you recommend anyone who's built their personal brand already take so that they can be successful?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, Yuvraj, and because there is a lot of misconception about promotion of personal brands. We in this side of the world, in Europe, we are all about LinkedIn. I'm not sure if this is true in India as well. Is that true in India as
Yeah,
well?
it
LinkedIn?
is
Is
growing. It
it?
is growing. Yes.
Yeah. So we think that LinkedIn is the fundamental place where you have to promote yourself. Also, a lot of people use social media like Instagram and whatever. Okay. Um, I I always discuss with my clients and with people that come to me for advice. That's only a tiny part of the promotion of your personal brand. That's only really a very tiny part of the promotion of your personal brand. There are a lot more things that you can do. Actually, I sort of organize the promotional effort of a personal brand under four big categories. The first one is mm, you can assimilate it to an idea of inbound marketing, just as a metaphor. It's the ability that you have to attract the attention of people. Okay. For instance, in my case, I do this mostly through publication of my newsletter. I publish some posts on LinkedIn. I publish articles in magazines and so on. So that's the ability that's my attempt to sort of raise the curiosity of people on what I can do for them. Okay, so maybe people read my articles wherever they are, and they say, well, maybe Giuseppe knows a thing or two about personal branding or corporate brand, and maybe I want to talk to Giuseppe. I want to investigate a little bit more about it. So that's your ability to attract. I call it like well, we don't need to put names on those, but your ability to attract the attention of people. But then there is also another thing that you need to do. Not always people will receive the signals that you send out. Sometimes those signals do not get there, and with LinkedIn, this is certainly the case very often. So if you are interested in creating a sort of chirurgical effectiveness of what you do, you also have to be able to find a way to get to the people that you are interested in. Okay, so this is reaching out. You want you want to be able to find a way to call the persons that you want to talk to, and obviously you have to be able to let the door open to be accepted in these conversations. This can be you want to send an email to a person you know because you need to talk to this person. Maybe you want to call this person. Or if you do not have a direct access to this person, you can get introduced to this person. You have to find a way to be introduced to this person. Then there is another element, which is the element of networking. Okay, and this element is something that is you need to do that in a very, how to say, strategic way. Okay, and this is also another area of personal branding that people could sort of misunderstand in terms of oh, I don't want to use people. Actually, when you think about strategic networking, you are thinking in terms of how can you be a source of value in an ecosystem. Okay, this is the fundamental idea. The idea is that you have to understand that you are a brand within an ecosystem. And this ecosystem is made of yourself as a source of value, and is made of other nodes and sources of value that you can connect with for different reasons. And this you can strategize about. Because, for instance, be sure you need mentors. You need people who can be discerning on things where you need to receive, say, like a third party advice, or you are not sure about something and you want to discuss this with someone you appreciate, or you need simply someone who knows more than you do on some kind of activity and so on. So mentors, surely you need. Then you need people who know other people. So you need connectors. Also, if you are in business, you need clients. Okay, of course, and so you need some typical types of figures that you will adapt to your personal kind of business, to your career, and you have to understand that you have two levels in terms of timeline, two levels of connection. One is the connections I have today. And the other one, which is very, very important, is what are the connections that I need, let's say 5 years from now or 10 years from now, let's say when there is the success that you are pursuing. Okay. So if you figure yourself in a position when you have the success you want to have, okay, so your future yourself, okay, your future you, who are the persons that will be in the network that you need at that stage? Well, you have to build that, okay? And you have to build that not in terms of using those persons, but in terms of serving those persons. Because if you serve those persons, they will be wanting to be around you. Okay, so that's a third element and I'm looking at my book here, Yuvraj, a little bit
Yes.
of advertising
Wonderful.
for myself.
Wonderful.
And the last point in your promotion is you need to be able to become what we call a meme. Okay, what is a meme? A meme is something that goes from mouth to mouth. Okay, so you need to be able to become a story that people tell to other people. Okay, so they are advertising you. Now, the interesting part of this, Yuvraj, is that again, as we were saying in the beginning of our conversation, people will talk about you not because they like you, it's because they like the people they are talking to. Okay, so what does this mean? It means that if you are talking to one of your colleagues or one of your friends about me, let's say, you are not really in a dynamic of showing your appreciation for me. You are in a dynamic of building your relationship with the person you're talking to. Okay,
Yeah.
and you use me, my personal brand, as a platform of your connection with the person that is there. So again, we are talking about we must become sources of value for other people. So if, for instance, you will use some of my ideas and so on with the other person, it's because you want to establish a relationship with the other person, and maybe you want to establish this on the fact that you are knowledgeable about personal branding or
Hmm.
whatever other thing, which is a dynamic between you and the other person. I'm not there. I'm not
Hmm.
there, and I have nothing to do there. But at the same time, there is a benefit for me, which is you are talking about me. Probably that person will look me up, maybe on LinkedIn, maybe she or he will go to my website, and this is the activation of word of mouth for my personal brand.
Mm.
Okay, so these four elements to promotion, as you can see, make the idea of promoting your personal brand a very articulate one. So if we are able to think these four areas in ways that are convergent, in ways that are coherent with each other, obviously we will develop a very potent personal brand and a very coherent personal brand, and it becomes a story that people can understand. And if people understand your story, there is a lot more possibility that they will like it, a lot more possibility that they will remember it, and a lot more possibility that they will want to establish a relationship with you. They will establish a relationship with you. Why? Because they understand who you are. This is fundamental.
Mhm. True. And I also like the idea of serving the people that you want to evolve into a network with in the future, because that's like long-term strategic thinking that people that start out or want to create their personal brand, they don't typically think about it. Even I didn't typically think about it, that stretched out. So that's sound advice for myself as well, that I will put into action. What I want to ask,
And
just
Yuvraj, if
yes,
I
please.
may, sorry, Yuvraj, if I may interrupt at this
Absolutely.
point, uh, and I wish someone had told this to me when I was young. The the idea of developing an idea of success, the idea of our own success, uh, is something that is a little bit complicated to relate with. Why? Because when we are thinking, okay, I have a dream, I want to become this. Okay, let's say I want to become the CEO of this type of company, or I want to become this level of consultant, whatever. Okay, so when we are very young, obviously there is the power of youth. You can dream. That's true. But then there is also the devil on the shoulder, who is telling you, well, as we say in Italy, fly low, don't get too excited. You have to demonstrate and so on. Dreaming big is good. Dreaming big is good, and planning for greatness is really good. Really, really something that we should be doing. So obviously, life will decide, and we have to make all of our efforts, but not everything is in our hands. What we can do is to put the efforts. But dreaming big means that we are sort of portraying, sort of imagining that the value that we can create is really big. Okay, this is something that on one side will sort of give a direction to all the efforts that we do. So we always go towards something. Okay, without being constricted by this idea. And on the others, so the efforts we do are cumulative. Okay, so the potency of what we do is cumulative. And on the other side, it also gives us a sort of a purpose in life, a sort of ambition that is driving us in every moment. This is the idea. So we have to think of like I'll tell you a story about this, which is I had a friend who is a champion in rally driving, okay, with 4x4 rally driving.
Okay.
And he told me that if you want to go fast in off-road, you have to continuously look forth and look just in front of you. Look very far and look just in front of you. Because if you look very far, you know what's coming. And if you look in front of you, you are avoiding the obstacles and the holes in the terrain and so on, so you don't break your car. The same happens with your career. You have to look very far because you need to know where you are directing all your efforts. So you go towards that. But you also have to look at the today, because if you don't look, if you're not in the moment, you can lose yourself.
Wow. I think that's a wonderful anecdote. I think it's like a balance between staying present, but also planning and like defining and then planning for the future that you want to have, right? It's the balance between the
Yeah.
two. Yeah, I love that. I also like the idea of defining what success means to you because everyone has a different definition of what success means to them. And I think defining that early on can give them a lot of clarity that they can then use to, focus their efforts on something specific that can move the needle. Um, yeah, but I love that. I think that is a wonderful way to end the call. I think we covered the fundamentals of personal branding, in a very compressed format, how we can build one, about storytelling. But I really enjoyed it and really appreciate you again agreeing to come on the podcast and sharing your insights and thoughts. So thank you very much, Giuseppe.